Wow, entry number one just gave us plenty of food for thought. That was only the beginning, J. Marians. You'll be glad to know more as we listen to entry number two.
Hello everyone, buckle up for a new episode of Q&A with J&J. This is Justine Chalmers Martin.
And this is Elisha Jamil Bahan. Today's episode is very special because today we will be tackling a very interesting topic related to our intramurals theme 2022, which will be presented to you by Justin.
So our theme is revolutionizing the new normal with an assured, consistent, and quality brand of education.
This topic is very applicable to students, and you might learn a thing or two about staying motivated and staying strong in the midst of the new norm. Of course, with our very special guest, Ms. Josephine Gallardo.
You're right, Jamie. Again, to help us with the discussion, we have here Miss Josephine A. Gallardo, a senior high school teacher with over 10 years of experience. The sudden change that this pandemic gave us has been a very difficult experience, not only for students, but teachers as well. So she will discuss some techniques and challenges and perhaps share some tips and pieces of advice to make things a lot easier adapting to the new normal ways of online teaching.
Hello everyone, I am Josephine A. Gallardo, one of the senior high school faculty of San Maria College, and I'm here to share with you some of my thoughts about the new normal setup as an educator.
Thank you for being with us today, Ms. Josephine. To begin the discussion, what techniques did you apply to your senior high school students for them to easily adjust to the new online class setup?
Well, when the lockdown came in, I guess every one of us had a lot of adjustments to do. I can say that it's not only the students who are adjusting, but the teachers as well. Now, as to what techniques did I use to my students for them to easily adjust to the new online class setup, I would say that the very first thing I did was to consistently reach out to them. Meaning, I'd always make sure that my communication lines was always open, that I would even cater to them even beyond office hours if my time allows me so. I made sure that I can keep in touch with my students through all forms of easy and convenient virtual communication. Because for me, open communication was very important during that time of the first few months of the lockdown when everything was shifted online because there would be no way to reach each other since we cannot meet face to face in school. And also to assure the students that despite the situation, everything still goes on and nothing will stop, especially our teaching and learning process. Second is I explored through some techniques where I can utilize interactive activities that will still let the students be involved in the discussion despite the online class setup. That way, there is an assurance that learning may still take place and may be much easier for students because they still get to participate and act on their learning. Furthermore, it helps them out to be open and comfortably communicate with everyone in the class since they are used to an online classroom environment that is engaging and welcoming. Thirdly, I also made sure that there was some sort of updating of oneself to the class from time to time, just to let them share anything and everything that they're going through that they're open to share with. I'd like to give them an avenue to share their thoughts and also breathe, even just for a while, for a little while. A simple chit chat before the lesson proper starts will do. This is just to check on them on some other aspects of their lives, like the emotional as well as mental status, because we know during the first months of lockdown, where people were locked up to their houses in a snap and can only communicate with the rest virtually, I think that it really affected some people's emotional and mental health, all the more with our students. That's why I'd also like to check on them. Lastly, is I also wanted to make sure that even if the subject that I teach is a bit challenging, the students can still be able to grasp concepts by way of the teacher simplifying the lessons as much as possible. I mean, the subject is actually already challenging and demanding even during face to face, all the more when it was shifted to online. It actually adds up more to the challenge and the demands. That's why I wanted it to be simplified in as much as I can so that it wouldn't be also too hard for them in the new online class setup.
I admire the dedication and love of work you put through with it because I believe those things are easier said than done. Everyone needs to adjust to the new norm. Right, Justin?
Yes, of course. I believe that we as students have our own share of adjustments to make. So we are very fortunate to have teachers like Ma'am Josephine who care sincerely for their students.
I definitely agree with you. How about you, Justin? As a student, do you think those techniques that Miss Josephine mentioned help you adjust easily to online classes?
Yes, they did. I definitely believe that those techniques can make students more motivated to keep going through the pandemic. I think that when teachers apply these techniques to their students, they are able to bond and connect with them.
That was very nice to hear. I'm so glad it did work for you, as it worked for me too.
That's good. Now, to keep the ball rolling, let's move on to the next question. Miss Josephine, as a senior high school teacher, what challenges did you encounter in the new normal setup that made you a better educator?
One challenge I encountered during the new normal setup was that there were students who were hard to reach. And I think this is not only a challenge for me, but actually to most fellow senior high school teacher as well. We had a hard time reaching out to students who had a lot of missing tasks, but later on we managed to connect with them through their parents. Though it took us some time, especially that we are in a virtual setup where we cannot really expect an instant and real-time response all the time. So actually through this, we learned to extend more of our patience because after all, what we wanted is for the students' welfare. Another thing that challenged us during the first few months of the new normal is the mode of delivering lessons. We all know that it was a 360 degrees shift from classroom to Google Meet, from Blackboard to computer screen. So it was really a total shift for the teachers. But the good thing was that there were automatically seminars and trainings conducted and initiated by the school so we can easily adapt to the new normal way of teaching. And as the months go by, through collaborations and explorations, we were able to discover new things online like applications and learning management systems that can be of great help in the teaching and learning process. And the internet is a rich source of this stuff. So class discussions actually became more fun and engaging despite the new normal setup.
I can definitely see why those challenges were difficult to handle. The pandemic just happened suddenly, and all of us didn't have time to prepare. But we all think these challenges in life because it gives us room to grow and makes us stronger than before. We just always need to look at the brighter sides of the circumstances. Do you agree?
You are so right with that, Justin. And just to add up, it's a good thing that parents become more involved in their children when it comes to their online classes. As Miss Josephine said, it is indeed a 360 shift for teachers, students, and parents.
Thank you for that, Jamie. Now, for the last part of our discussion, Miss Josephine, what advice can you give to your fellow educators who are having a hard time embracing the new norm in teaching?
Well, I guess I can sum up my advice into three things. First is be innovative, second is be adaptive, and third is be collaborative. Innovative in the sense that whatever may come up, we can always come up with new methods. We can always create something new to address the needs at hand. When the pandemic came in, teachers were forced to come up with things that will keep them up with the demands of the time. But before we become innovative, we should also first be adaptive in embracing the new norm in teaching. Being adaptive is the ability to adapt to different situations and be flexible enough to easily adapt to abrupt changes like this new normal. And as teachers who didn't see this pandemic coming and changing our ways and means of teaching, it is very important that we become adaptive first to whatever situation that may come in. That way, we can be able to think properly with the next thing to do, and that is to find solutions to the challenges at hand. Lastly, is to be collaborative. As educators, we don't work alone. Instead, we work together to come up with a much better and brighter achievement. As they say, two heads are better than one. What more if the entire group is collaborative enough to build a much stronger education workforce? We can attain more and produce more if we work hand in hand, collaborate with other educators, and share things common on how to produce a much more well-rounded individuals that can contribute for the betterment of our society. So I guess those three are the advices that I can give to my fellow educators: be innovative, adaptive, and collaborative.
That was really motivating. Thank you so much for a very inspiring message to your fellow educators, Miss Josephine. I love your idea of being innovative, adaptive, and collaborative. I believe a lot of viewers and listeners would definitely agree with everything you shared with us today.
So thank you very much for listening. Have a good day.
Thank you so much, Miss Josephine. You have been a very helpful person in our discussion for this episode. I hope you can continue inspiring more educators to do the best they can, no matter how hard the circumstances are. Again, it's always been our pleasure to have you here.
Now, to end this discussion, we would like to leave this simple message to all educators out there. We know and understand that teaching can be challenging and frustrating, especially in these difficult times. But as Miss Josephine demonstrated, everything is possible.
You can think of the circumstances that this pandemic gave us as either a challenge or an opportunity. And for teachers like Miss Josephine, she dealt with these difficulties by using her own coping techniques. And she does this with commitment, love, and dedication to deliver an assured, consistent, and quality brand of education in the new normal.
Thank you so much, Justin.
And thank you so much, Jamie. God bless everyone, and see you again in the next episode of
Q&A with J&J.